Something to Say, which is a program in which we interview people who've had extraordinary spiritual experiences. And today's guest is Yvonne Sneeden. And Yvonne has had one of the most remarkable near-death experiences that I've ever heard about. I first encountered it, I think, a couple of years ago, and I was totally blown away by it. I was so blown away that I took a lecture Yvonne did, and I fooled around and made it into 2 little videos and put them up on YouTube. And the feedback I got from people was that it changed their life. Yeah, I actually got that feedback from more than one individual, that just listening to that video was a life-changing event. So I want to tell you, welcome, Yvonne. I'm going to thank you. I'm going to tell people who you are a little bit. So they know, I'm going to read a little of this, but that Yvonne sent me. But as far as Yvonne's story is concerned, it was a deep emotional life crisis led to her near-death experience in 2008, in conjunction with strong medicines for heart arrhythmia. And this profound and powerful life-changing event, during which Yvonne visited a part of the place she calls heaven, transcended her faith and heightened her understanding of love, compassion, goodness, kindness, and acceptance for all. Since her experience, Yvonne is striving to bring the elements of the NDE, near-death experience, into her daily life and in her interaction with others. She feels it is important to share what she learned from her NDE experience and bring it together for the common good of us all. Help each and every one of us to live a better life here and now. Prior to her NDE, Yvonne's professional career included work in the Foreign Diplomatic Service in Europe. This has enabled her to meet people from around the world with various different backgrounds. And through the course of her career, she has realized that regardless of the level of social and public influence people exercise, we are all on a journey. Yvonne is the executive co-producer, together with Robert Neil Marshall, of Back from the Light, a film documentary focusing on near-death experience survivors and their after effects. Welcome, Yvonne. I'm absolutely thrilled that you are here, and I'm going to shut up, and I want you to tell us about your utterly amazing experience.
My bigger desire by doing this interview and by being on YouTube is share my story, to share where I went when I briefly died, and to encourage anyone who listens with a positive heart, just to encourage everyone. So I feel blessed if you have been encouraged by my story. I was laying on my sofa and reading a book, and suddenly, as I'm laying there, I felt the whole organs of each organ of my body shutting down, and at the same time as I felt that, I slipped out of my body. So I never felt the final pain of death, as many near-death experiencers have. Never feel the last part of it. If they fall from a tree, from a rock, sometimes they are out of their body before they land on the ground, and it was the same for me. And I'm really thankful that I never had to suffer like so many others had to. So so one moment I was just reading my my book, and the next moment I was immediately translated into the light. And actually, when it's just as if, just imagine that one moment you're here, and the next second you're in a total different environment, like a projection, like, you just project it into another universe, another dimension, another reality. You slipped immediately. It's almost like there's that invisible wall that's actually pushed through. And from one moment I was here, the next second I'm in another total different environment. And that environment, it's actually pure light, and the whole atmosphere is completely brilliant. There is nothing else. It's like a fog of light, like as if you were inside a cloud and you cannot see anything around, and behind the cloud you have those ray of light of the sunshine that comes in. It was just brilliant, brilliant. And I'm in that brilliant atmosphere, and all I can feel in there is just joy. It's joy, it's happiness, but happiness just not like we have happiness here. It's the peak of happiness, the ultimate happiness, which has actually erased every sorrow, every anger, every anxiety, every trauma, every worries, everything that has a negative connotation to it is completely erased from my memory, from who I am. And I'm just basking in that tremendous light of joy and of happiness.
I want to go. I mean, I don't want to rush it, though. I'm sorry. Yeah, continue.
I know. Once you've been there, you don't want to come back, and I can understand that. And yes, that on this earth we have so many anxieties or sadness or betrayals or things we did to others and we did not want to do it, so we feel guilt and shame.
Yeah.
But also that was gone. Everything was gone. I was just that pure soul who was completely full of that happy light, happy joy, basking there. And I have a sense I was myself just light too. And as I'm there basking in that beauty, that joy, that effervescence of joy and of happiness and bliss, joyful bliss, and suddenly there I am, and I look through that light, and I see coming in the distance, coming towards me, I see a being of light where you could only see the outline. It was a translucent being, translucent. It has an outline, and like a human outlines, and that being that was coming through the light was even brighter. It was really bright. Everything was in that brightness. It's like you are in the middle of a bulb of light. It doesn't hurt your eyes. You're not hurt. And then in the middle of that bulb of light, already you see something even more brilliant coming towards you, as a being of light. And that being of light was just floating, hovering, floating, and making those movements like a flame of fire makes when you look in the fireplace. But instead of fire, it was light. And that being came towards me, hovering, and then came higher and whirling around me. And then it was just taking, just not standing like that, but just hovering with his body moving in all directions and looking at me with so much care and so much attention. Very attentive. That being was looking at me very attentively and with a lot of respect, a lot of care, a lot of admiration, as if it was, wow, that's my baby. That's my baby. Like when you look at an infant and a baby that's your own, you handle the first time that you have that baby in your arms after you give birth. You look at that baby with a lot of care, as if it was very fragile, but with a lot of love and emotion. And that's how that being was looking at me, with that same emotion and care and admiration. Wow, she's beautiful. And I'm not talking about an external beauty. I'm talking about inner beauty.
Mhm.
And as soon as that being wrapped me completely, and as that being wraps me, it wraps my being, it wraps my heart, everything I am. And at that specific moment, as he wraps me, I feel instantly a download from God, a download from the light, saying instantly, this is Jesus.
Mm.
And the love that emanated from Jesus was the love of a father and a mother, all in one unit, just a perfect parent, the perfect love of a parent, one unit. On earth we have the love of a mother and the love of a father. And at that moment, it was the two units in one being, in one being. I have never felt that before, ever, and since. It's feeling one person who is both man and woman in one, male and female energy. The pure energy, there's not like a physical being. It's not on the other side in heaven, it's not physical, it's all spiritual and etheric. And it was the two energy were one, like a father and a mother. And I felt embraced. And I think I got that one feeling because I have never felt the love of a mother and a father on earth, because my parents dropped my two sisters and I in a Catholic boarding school, in a private boarding school, because they were too busy socializing and making money around the world and didn't have time for their children. So they gave us perfect education, but no love. And I guess when I was in heaven, Jesus knew that that was the first thing I needed as a human, as a spirit that was coming back home, is to feel that love again, that love for the first time as a human, but back home as a parent. And he was just loving me and kissing me all over my face like a mother kisses a baby.
Mm.
Was just kissing me everywhere. And I'm still very emotional when I talk about that,
Oh, all right.
because no, it's so beautiful. There's no beauty like that on earth. The dimension and the depth of that type of love, which is a love that's unconditional, a love that doesn't think of them first. It was all about me. And on earth, I give a lot to others. And it was so wonderful to feel that I was receiving so much.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just loving and kissing me and holding me, Jesus. And I felt really like a little infant or a child who is really in the arms of her parents, and because of this, the protective arms of the parents, nothing can happen to that child. And that's how I felt. I felt strong. I felt protected. I felt loved. I felt cherished, because when Jesus was holding me like that, the love that was given was tenderness, kindness. It was goodness. It was compassion. It was love itself that was showered in me. After that, I had a knowing, I said to Jesus, I had a knowing that I didn't want to come back on earth, that I would have to come back on earth. And even though Jesus didn't talk to me, I felt it. In heaven, you speak in a telepathic mode, and even better than telepathy. Telepathy is me giving you a thought and you understanding it. In heaven, it's even faster. It's a process that's a knowing. We go from knowing to knowing. The thought produced in me, and it's instantly at the same time understood by the other person. So as soon as I had that knowing, as soon as he would decide that I was going back, I had that knowing. He didn't have to tell me. And and I did not want to come back. And so I told Jesus, I said, I don't want to come back on earth. I said, I want to stay here because in this world, in that world, it's very dark. There are many people that are mean, selfish, self-centered. They don't care about anybody else but themselves. And I cannot relate to that world anymore. I cannot relate. I'm here. I'm home. I stay here. This is love. This is home. This is relief. This is peace. I want to stay here, Jesus. I didn't want to go back. And I said, if you have me to go back, my body is beyond exhaustion over there. It's beyond exhaustion. I stay here. So, but I felt that that was not going to be the case. He didn't say, no, I'm not staying, you have to go back. But I knew, I'm not sure. For me, I felt that that light where I was in was, we came out of the light to go towards a location. And when I look at where it was in a distance, it was a very, very beautiful, very big and beautiful city that I call the City of Light, the Crystal City. And it was actually huge. I saw huge, very tall buildings that were made of crystal, or at least it looked like it was made of crystal because they were so brilliant and so shiny. And we were walking towards that direction, and I was with Jesus, who was on my left. And I was in a hurry. I was so excited to get. I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm going home." And I was walking and excited, and Jesus was on my side. And at that time, when Jesus came on my side, he took a form that was more human. He looked like the Jesus we think of on earth, about 6 foot high, and he had a robe and a toge, just like the Jesus we picture. My left, and I was excited, and we were going, and you have to know that in heaven, we have, it's a very, and I said that already, but I like to say it, it's a very vibrant place. It's not a place where, like we do a lot in our spiritual centers, whether it's a church, whether it's sometimes whether it's another spiritual area, people always try to stay very silent and not dare to move anything. Everything has to be really, and if you move around, people look at you. But heaven, once you're over there, it's a very vibrant place, a very joyful and vibrant, and everybody's so very busy doing all kind of things. And that's where we were going, and I felt that atmosphere that was very busy, and looking ahead, I could feel that it was a place that was such a happy place, just like when you go on vacation, somewhere in, and it depends if for you, Ted, vacation is the beach, or for somebody else it's the mountain. But you know, when you're on vacation, you have left all your business and your problem and your worries behind, and you are on vacation in life, no computer, no cell phone, just the beach, drinking a nice juice or anything delicious, looking at that ocean, and or looking at the mountains, anywhere that makes you happy, and you feel on vacation, no worry at all. That's the feeling I had as I was getting closer to that city. It was where I was going with Jesus, and I was so happy. And while I was walking, I felt, that some movement to my right. I felt that there were people to my right as well. And I just turned around to look who it was, because, just like when you walk and you feel that people are coming along, and I turned around, and I saw a dozen of a children angel or very young angel around 10 years old, between 9 and 11, at around 10 years old, and they were walking towards the same location. We were all walking towards that location, and they were joyful, busy, and long white robe, silverish type of curly hair, very round face, bronzy looking, and they were all walking towards the direction, and we were all walking there, and then they look at me. At some point, they look at me, and as they look at me, they saw Yvonne walking there. Normally, it's normal to see her here, and then they turned around and they saw Jesus. And when they saw Jesus next to me, one of them had their face that started to shine like a bright light, and so happy to see Christ. And he ran into his arm, and all the other one ran into his arms too. But you see, Jesus took them all into his arms. And you would think that we cannot take 12 people, a dozen of angels into your arms, but yet he was able, because in heaven it's all, you can reach the energy, the spirit of everyone, and you can all come and merge into one energy, into one spirit. So Jesus was merging with those angels and giving them the love they needed as he was holding them, so he could all of them at once. And when he did that, when that exchange of love occurred, Jesus said to them with the most tremendous love, with no rejection feeling. He said to them, "It's Yvonne's moment." Meaning, this is the moment I want to spend with Yvonne for her. She needs that moment. And then he said, go back to your teacher/mother angels, the one that actually are mother figures, the one that angels that take care of them. And and I have to say that because I know, I have a Christian background myself. For many years I've been in the Christian church and had a lot of joy in there, but a lot of disappointment and a lot of hurts as well. There's good and bad, but I want to remember the good in everything I do. But I know that some people would criticize me because I said women angels. Because when Jesus said to those young angels, go back to your mother teachers, and I look back to look at where they were going, and they were the most, I saw there the most magnificent women, very big, tall, beautiful women angels. They had a female energy. They were, and we have to know it's all very pure. Heaven is extremely pure. There is no darkness over there. It's really beautiful. But those angels were long white robe as well, and they had those long hair, and they look at me, and I felt the same love as Christ had given to me. They look at me with love, acceptance, with respect and consideration. And I'm always moved when I speak like that about the love, because it's so much more than you can. Here we get so much. Here we oftentimes have tough loves, and people hurt one another. But there it was really. They look at me with such a. And remember, in heaven, everything is from knowing to knowing, thoughts to thoughts. There is no verbal communication. But the way they look at me, what emanated, and they were glowing, all around them was glowing. I have to say that even the angel, everybody in heaven glow, because the inside of us in heaven, it's not bone and flesh and muscles. Actually, the inside of us is a light. It's light. It's like a bulb of light. We are beings of light. And those angels were looking at me, those women beings, were looking at me with such a consideration, with such a love and such a respect and reverence. I don't know if they were looking at me with reverence. I don't know if they were looking at me with reverence because Jesus was with me or because of me. I don't know. But one thing I'm sure is that in heaven, everybody treats each other with respect. Everybody treats each other with care, with consideration. Everybody see the other one as higher than ourselves. The self is gone in heaven. The ego is gone. All those stronghold of the ego that we put on earth is because we want to protect ourselves of all the hurts we've already had. So, because when a child is born, the child is pure, is joyful, the child is tender, and then with time and all the sufferings we go through, we build some strongholds because we've been rejected, we've been hurt, we've been betrayed. But those angels were there sharing with me without any of that, but pure love and acceptance and inclusion. And the message they were telling me, where they were looking at me with that so much, with a big smile and the love, the message they were telling me is, Yvonne, you're not alone. Yvonne, we love you. You are one of us. You are safe with us. We love you. We will never hurt you. We will never harm you because you're one of us. And it was the most beautiful moment to receive that love, that type of love, that unconditional love. And that's the love that we have in heaven for every one of us. It's that same unconditional love. Was just amazing. He just lifted it again, went into the air, and behind him was actually, it's almost like the universe without stars. It's a space that a lot of near-death experiencers have been to, and they say it's a blackness, but it's not a fearful one. Here, the dark, we're afraid in the dark, but over there, it's a peaceful one. And Jesus expanded, his being expanded in the universe type of environment. And he became like a huge hologram, half a mile high. I just want to give that perspective to people, how big heaven is. And he took that amazing, his being was all energy. His whole being was pulsating, creative energy. His whole being, every pulse was creative. Every pulse of his entire being was creative. He became the light. He became the light. He was now a being of huge light, pulsating and a tremendous energy of creativity. I was feeling creation. I was feeling light. I was feeling oneness. Everything, as I was looking at that amazing being that had expanded, and I felt it could create anything. And at that moment, he said to me, and he looked at me, so imagine he looked at me from above like that, and he said, in my mind, of course, it's all telepathically, from knowing to knowing, he said, Yvonne, he said, I had my hand lifted like that, and I felt his energy touching it. And he said, Yvonne, I will give you my strength. I will give you my energy of life. And when he said that, I really felt in my spiritual being and in my body on earth, I really felt a liquid, an effervescent liquid energy entering my being. It was, like you see in those scientific program on TV, documentary, where they want to prove that one new product, one new medicine works really well, and they inject, they have those slides or those programs where you see that energy, that liquid that goes into a skeleton and into the nerves to show how well it will do to the being. I felt that was almost like a liquid that was an effervescent liquid, a sparkling liquid that was actually entering my whole being. And at the same time, I felt every muscle, every nerve, every bone, I'm not a scientist and I'm sorry, but every proton and everything that's in the body completely filled with that energy. It's almost like my entire DNA had been restored and re-energized. It was like a new DNA. It was completely renewed and re-energized. And it was Christ's compassion towards me. It was actually filling me with life so I could go back on earth because I was done. My battery, when you have a battery on a device, when it's done, it's done. You need to recharge it. And I think that's what I needed. I needed to be recharged. Otherwise, I wouldn't go back. I was dead. He recharged my entire being. And for some reason, it stopped at my ankle, and I will never know why. I have absolutely no reason why it stopped. I've asked a few people. Isn't it weird?
Interesting. Interesting. It may have something to do with grounding on the earth when you come back. I don't know. It's just a wild guess, because the feet are so important to ground on the earth.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Some people say we have a keepers from earth to heaven, that there's that silver cord. Was that the thing that I was feeling that was keeping me? I had a silver cord, and that was maybe that.
I don't know.
I have always wondered.
I don't know. I definitely don't know.
But anyway, it was like amazing. It's very difficult to explain with human words the experience I had, because we are trying to translate a situation that would never happen on Earth. So we are using human words to something that absolutely is from another world. It's another reality. So we are using, once you step outside this Earth, you are in another reality, in another place, in another world. And so it's another reality. But I felt completely re-energized. And after that moment, Christ came back from that place, shrink back to a dimension that could around me. And I remember he came and kind of wrapped me again, and he said, Yvonne, at that moment he's looking at me and said, Yvonne, I love humanity. I love everybody. And at that moment, Ted, at that moment I understood that Christ is a universal Christ. Mm-hmm. Christ is not linked to one thought of process. He loves everybody, every soul that lives. I've been a Christian all my life, and sometimes we are guilty of thinking we have that elitic feeling that we're the best. But Christ didn't make me feel that way. Christ loved everyone, everybody, regardless of their background, their spiritual background, regardless of who they were. There was absolutely no difference. Love was love, period.
So
there was no...
I'm sorry.
is, period. You
That's,
know, it's not about, oh, I love you more because of this, or you deserve more
mhm,
because of that. Christ said to me, I love humanity. And he's added, I love my babies.
mm,
Which is, and then he said, I love humanity. Because I understood that Christ was the light, that light was Christ. The light is one with God. The light is one with everything. Everything is one with us. It
mhm.
was that huge oneness that I understood. And uh, and he said, it's love, Yvonne. And I love my baby. I
And
love
on
humanity.
Earth, I'm sorry, on Earth, I don't mean to interrupt you. Just this question
Oh, go
keeps
ahead.
it
I love
keeps
it when
coming up to me, and I got to ask. On Earth, belief systems are so important to people, and people believe, like they believe. They have a website on line at spiritual websites called beliefnet.com, which is interesting because that shows the extent to which the idea that spirituality is tied in with what you believe. And you believe a certain way, you're going to get to heaven. Uh, this Christ that you encountered does not seem to be dependent upon anybody's belief system. Is that correct? And what I'm hearing,
you know, Ted, when you are in heaven, we are no longer on earth. We
right?
are in a dimension where Christ explained that it's all about the love.
Yeah.
Love is what matters because He is love.
Hmm.
Love is what matters. And it's not if you have been every Sunday to church or every Sunday to the synagogue or if you have been every Sunday to here and there. That's not what matters.
Hmm.
You know, what really matters is that actually your heart, that, and I'm getting very passionate when I talk about that because when I was Christ, that's what he showed me, is that he said, you know, there is a scripture in the Bible that said God is love. And the Bible, and it's in 1 John, it's in the chapter of 1 John. God is love. And if you don't have love, God is not with you. If you have love, God is with you. And period. You understand?
Hmm.
That concept of if you have that God's love in you, because God is love, love is God. If you have that in you, you are connected with the source. You're connected with Creator. You're connected with your God, the higher self, anything you call it. You connect it, and then your life on earth will be lived as you should, with respecting your neighbor, giving to the poor, not making fun of everyone around you, not being humble, being thankful, grateful, not actually not betraying people's trust, not gossiping and hurting and harming others, backstabbing. All those little details are a lack of love. So when you understand what love is, and that Christ is love, and if you want to understand, because Christ came on earth not to make a new cult. Christ came on earth to explain beyond religion, beyond what is religion and that religion or not. He was a teacher of love. If you only take his teaching, if you only take that, and you see what man he was, beyond, when you don't think of the history of the church, and when you don't think of anything that has, the crusade, everything that has been done in the name of Jesus, which he would never have wanted to be done to start with. There's a difference that is very important between what has been taught throughout the centuries in a certain movement and what Christ's love is. There's a huge difference. So when you just read what he was teaching, it was love one another, give to the poor, visit the one who is in prison, help the needy, clothe the naked, love your neighbor like yourself. So he was saying, don't put your ego in between. That's what's gonna not make you successful. You can become as rich as you want. You can be as wealthy, as popular as you want. But if you don't have love, you will always feel empty inside when you go to bed at the end of the day.
Mhm.
And I was trying to teach that. And to me, nowadays, I say I'm a Christ follower more than anything else. I'm not following any movement. I follow the lessons of love and respect and um, and honor and inclusivity, because the big difference between heaven and earth is actually that in heaven we're all included as one, and on earth there's a lot of exclusion down, and it's
Yeah.
difficult. And so that's a big, it's like two polar opposites.
Mhm.
So when Jesus said that it's all about love, and I said to myself, yeah, I know, because you're Jesus. I know you will say that because you taught us love on earth. You taught us how to love, how to heal people physically, but also emotionally. You were a healer on earth. So I know that that's love. And then he said to me, Yvonne, I will show you how I love.
Mhm.
And when he said that, sorry,
It's all right.
when he said that, it's the most beautiful moment. When he said that, Jesus took my heart. It took the essence of who I am, uh, who is Yvonne is, my essence, who the existence of Yvonne itself, my heart, and he put it in his. He just put it in his with love and with care, and blended us as one. And there's also another scripture somewhere in the Gospel of John, which is my favorite one because it's the one that preach love. I don't like condemnation. I don't like guilt. I don't like any of that. Love is the number one. So when he put me inside his heart, when Christ put me inside his heart, he said, I've that concept of being one with Christ is the concept of when Christ said, Father, may there be one like you and I are one. I felt that oneness with Christ. And what I'm saying is that we are all one. That once we are one with love, we can understand how to change and how to survive in this bitter world. And because you don't you'll be stronger. And actually, it's not a weakness to walk in love. In this world, we have learned that loving and being kind is a weakness. Actually, it's a strength because it's easier to be evil or mean than when people are saying bad thing about a kind person and you're in the middle of the group. It's easier to say bad things than to say no. That's not right to say that. It's not right. It's easier to do evil than to do good. So it's harder to be kind. It's harder to walk with that level of love. And so so I go back to my moment with Christ when He took my heart, put my heart in His, and blend me with Him, with Christ. And at that moment, I felt the oneness, and that moment is the moment I will never be able to explain in human words because it's not from this world. The love I felt, Christ wanted me to feel for an instant how it felt to be in His heart, how it felt to be Him, how it felt to be Christ, to have Christ emotion, because He wanted me to feel how much love He had humanity, how much kindness, how much compassion, how much it was like oceans and waves of humongous waves of kindness, of goodness, of love, of care, of protection, of um, you know, goodness, but also, and it's difficult because it was billions of emotion, love for not only for us, but for everything that's created in the universe, everything, all the dimensions that exist that we see. There's so many dimensions we don't see. We are restricted to this world here that we see, and we think that's all it is. But there's so much more. There's so much more, and and that was the love for humanity. Christ had so much love, um, and there was no condemnation in that love. There was no guilt feeling, because once you're in heaven, you're so pure, you're so kind, because you can be in that dimension with every evil, everything has been left behind of your emotion. You're pure, kind being, and at that moment, I didn't feel any. He didn't have to forgive me, because forgiveness was implying that I had done something wrong. And so it would mean he would judge me. I was love with him. And that's what I felt. And it was just, there's been so much more in that moment that I cannot express. Maybe with time, I will be able to express that more, but so far I can't. It's too out of this world. And after that moment, I did feel he took me out. And in heaven, actually, that merging phenomenon that I have experienced with Christ is a very common phenomenon in heaven. Every beings over there can merge the same way to understand each other. For example, if you, Ted, I see you in heaven, and I want to say, oh my gosh, Ted, what was your life on earth? Can I see it? And I can ask you, can I merge with you to see your life? And if you authorize me, because as you know, in heaven, everything is respect. Everything is respect. And if you authorize me, I will merge like Jesus merged. We will both our energy, because in heaven it's a very ethereal and a lot of energy. Both energy will become one, so that I can go in you with my spirit, and I can be you for a minute. I can be Ted for a minute. You authorize me, so I can have all your field of memory from since your birth. I can see that, and not only see it, I can live it as if I was you. I were you. So that I can feel every emotion you have felt, whether it's joy, but also sadness, trauma. I can feel everything, and I can see all the trouble and all the struggles you've gone through, and I can see how much you learned about it, how much you learned about the rejection you have experienced, and how much you learned about the joy you have experienced. That's how heaven is. And that's what I experienced with Jesus. And right after that, I knew my time was up. There was no longer a possibility to negotiate anything. I knew time was up, finished. It was time for me to come back. And I felt my spirit, really literally felt my spirit travel back into my body. And here I was, back in my body.
Wow. Well, like I said, it's incredible.
It is, and if I can leave something, that is love, and to open up again. I know that many people on earth has closed that because of all the injury. We are in a society, every society around the world, we grow up with a certain pattern of logic, social patterns. Everything is actually built, and we are kind of brainwashed in what is right and what's wrong since childhood. And I've traveled the world. I've been in many continents. I've been in Africa, I've been in Europe, I've been in Asia, Latin America, the US, and I can tell that everybody has different way of working, sometimes opposite one from the other, and yet society works. And so everyone has built, but we all have built stronghold because we've been hurt, we've been challenged, we gave our trust and we were trampled in our trust. We have, and then we have to close ourselves because this world doesn't function with the same laws as heaven function. In this world, we have to be tough to be a winner, how strong we are. And in order to be strong, we sometimes have to push other people away. So people here, we don't dare to love again. We don't dare to trust again. And we've closed ourselves through that to the dimension of the afterlife, the dimension of heaven, because we think it's too beautiful to think. It's just ridiculous. So we are very skeptical because life here has never given us very often the possibility to believe that that good come out of good things. But I understand. But my hope, if people listen to this message, is to give hope to people that there is an afterlife and you can connect to it, and there's a lot of good waiting for you, and that God exists and God is love, and you can definitely reach to the creator of all. I like to call him the creator of all, exist beyond this world. And Christ has shown me that God exists, and that the Father exists. So that's my message. Be loved, be one, be loved, and be happy on this earth. It's worth.
I can see why you had to come back, or it was strongly suggested that you come back, put it that way. Well, I want to say thank you very much. This was wonderful. It was really a beautiful experience. Everything I hoped it would be, and I know how much people are going to get out of this. Is there a way to contact you, or do you want to leave any information about websites or any other way that people can get in touch with you? And I can also put them down on the video after I do it. But
Oh yes, definitely. You can. People can reach me in that. That I've done that documentary, which will come out in November, and it's called Back from the Light.
mm-hmm.
So, which will focus on various people that have been dead and come back in different places of the U.S. and Europe.
Wow.
So they will tell their story, but more precisely how the after effect of it, how they live their life on Earth after such an experience. So people can reach me on that website called backfromthelight.com, and then they can contact, email there. I also have a Facebook page where people can reach me, and that Facebook page is called Think Heaven Now. Think Heaven Now. And I'm working on my website also. And Think Heaven Now, they can also reach to me there. And if they want to ask me any question, I'll be happy to answer.
You're on a book too, right?
Yes. Thank you for reminding me.
How far are you got now?
I'm working on a book. I have about, right now I'm at page 85.
85.
And I've
okay.
at 140. I got that number from heaven, around 40. I'm stopping at page 140. It will be a book that talks about my life, like a biography, but also talk about my near-death experience and what I've learned from it.
Wow.
And it will come out probably December or January 2017.
Oh, wow. I'll be one of the first ones in line to read it.
I will offer it to you. I'll send. It's going to be a big gift for you
Thank you very much.
because you have been a gift to me today.
Well,
I thank you.
you've been a gift to the world, so you still are. Anything else you want to add before
No,
we wrap it up?
thank you. Million thanks. That's all I want to add for you. I say thank you. And thanks to everyone that listened this my story. I just want to say thank you for listening to it. And I hope you will have felt the love of heaven, of God through the message. All blessings to
I did.
everyone.
I
Thank you.
did, for sure. All right. Take care,
Bye.
my friend. I will see you. I'll
Take
be in
care.
touch. Thank you again. Blessings.